What if I told you that Roman soldiers were literally worth their salt, and that every time you receive a salary, you're participating in a 2,000-year-old tradition that started with one of history's most valuable commodities? This is the surprising story of how salt built an empire. We use the word salary every single day. You earn one, your friends complain about theirs, and economists debate them endlessly. But here's what's wild. This everyday word has its roots in Roman military camps, dangerous salt mines, and a substance that was once more precious than gold. So why did the mighty Roman Empire, with all its wealth and power, choose to pay its legendary soldiers in salt? The answer reveals one of history's most ingenious economic systems. Picture this. You're a Roman soldier in 150 AD. You're about to embark on a campaign that will take you hundreds of miles from home through hostile territory for months at a time. There's no McDonald's on the frontier, no grocery stores, no refrigerators. In the ancient world, salt wasn't just something you sprinkled on your eggs. It was literally the difference between life and death. Without salt, meat rotted within days, vegetables spoiled. Entire armies could starve not from lack of food, but from lack of a way to preserve it. And here's the thing, spoiled food didn't just make you sick, it killed you, fast. The Roman military machine couldn't afford to lose soldiers to something as preventable as food poisoning. So salt became their secret weapon. But why was salt so incredibly valuable? Well, imagine trying to get salt in ancient times. You had two options. First, you could venture into dangerous underground salt mines, where cave-ins were common and the work was backbreaking. Or second, you could set up elaborate evaporation ponds near the sea, wait for months, and hope bandits didn't steal your entire harvest. Then you had to transport this precious cargo across hundreds of miles of Roman roads, through mountains, across rivers, all while protecting it from thieves who knew exactly how valuable it was. The Romans had a saying, "Nothing is more useful than sun and salt." And they meant it. Salt wasn't just for preserving food. It tanned leather for armor and boots. It treated wounds. It was even used in religious ceremonies. In many parts of the Roman Empire, a pound of salt could buy a pound of gold. Think about that. Salt was worth gold. So here's where Roman ingenuity kicks in. Some brilliant administrator, probably in a dusty office in Rome, had a light bulb moment. Instead of paying soldiers with heavy gold coins that they'd have to use to buy salt anyway, why not just pay them in salt directly? This payment was called salarium, literally meaning salt money or salt allowance. Sometimes soldiers received actual salt, pressed into standardized bricks that worked like ancient currency. Other times, they received money specifically designated for buying salt, but the name stuck. Picture a Roman paymaster arriving at a military camp with carts full of gleaming white salt bricks, as valuable as treasure chests. Soldiers would line up to receive their salarium, knowing they held their survival in their hands. This wasn't just payment, this was strategic genius. Think about it from a soldier's perspective. You're carrying something that keeps your food fresh for months, but you're also carrying something that every person in every village across the known world desperately wants. A Roman soldier could march into Germanic territories, Gallic settlements, or African trading posts, and his salt was instant currency. Local populations didn't care about Roman politics, but they absolutely cared about preserving their food for winter. Plus, salt was incredibly practical for military campaigns. It was lightweight, it didn't spoil, it was easy to divide and share. And unlike gold coins, you could literally eat your emergency fund if you ran out of food. The Roman military had essentially created the world's first portable, edible cryptocurrency. And it worked so well that it helped fuel the expansion of the largest empire in ancient history. Fast forward through centuries of linguistic evolution. Salarium slowly morphed as it traveled through different languages. The Romans took it to France, where it became salary. The Normans brought it to England, where it eventually became our modern word, salary. So every time your boss talks about salary negotiations, every time you see a job posting mentioning competitive salary, you're using a word that was born in Roman military camps over 2,000 years ago. The ghost of ancient salt mines lives in every paycheck. And salt didn't just give us the word salary. When someone says you're worth your salt, they're literally referencing whether you're as valuable as a Roman soldier's salt payment. When you take something with a grain of salt, you're echoing ancient Roman wisdom about being skeptical, because even salt, as precious as it was, could sometimes be mixed with cheaper substances. The phrase "salt of the earth" comes from this same tradition, referring to people who are as essential and valuable as salt was to ancient civilizations. From Roman legions marching across Europe to your direct deposit hitting your bank account, salt didn't just preserve food. It preserved the very foundation of how we think about work, value, and payment. The next time you get paid, remember, you're participating in a tradition that stretches back to dusty Roman camps, dangerous salt mines, and soldiers who knew the true worth of that humble white crystal we now take for granted. History isn't just something that happened to other people in other times. It's living right there in the words we use every single day.